Welcome back to the next episode in the spring training series. Today we're really starting to think about some of these first applications of herbicides that will be going out sometime very shortly, and want to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit on them and look closer in at really the type of nozzle that we're using for these first applications. And we're really talking about pre-emerge herbicides, residual herbicides, but also burn down chemistry and burn down applications.
Yep, everybody's anxious always to get going, Eric, and I think this gives us an opportunity to talk just a little bit before that rolls out. Let's take a look at that sprayer and see what we're dealing with as far as getting ready to put some product on the ground.
Yeah, so nozzles, this is a very important aspect of any application, especially herbicides. And when we look at this a little bit closer as to the things we need to think about when we pick a nozzle to utilize for an application, we're talking about some of these important key aspects here. But worth mentioning, this first bullet point, some people think, well, the nozzle I'm going to use is what's already on the sprayer. And Brady, not typically the right idea.
Right, a lot of times, hey, that may be convenient because that's what came on it when we got it, is we're dealing with a newer sprayer or what we left on from last year. But we really need to evaluate that and take a look at that thing. And there's a whole list of things that we have here as far as what can be really important when it comes to that. But really the first thing that kind of gets overlooked is, because you can get caught up in there's a gallons per acre and a droplet size and travel speed, all those in picking nozzles. And those are important, but where it really needs to start is, we need to start with the product.
Yes, what type of application are you going to be making? And as I mentioned, pre-emerge residuals are going to be up to bat, and burn down applications. We have to keep an eye on the chemistry that we're applying. So there's a lot of burn down chemistries that are utilized. Some of the most utilized are systemic chemistries like glyphosate, 2,4-D, dicamba. But there's also burn down chemistries that are typically used that can be contact herbicides, like sharpen herbicide. And when we look at those separately, the contact herbicides definitely have a different nozzle requirement for optimal application and efficacy than the systemic. So that's what we're talking about. Keep an eye on that chemistry. And as I mentioned already, we want residual applications going out too. Sometimes you get the opportunity to apply a premixed product to get both jobs done in one pass. Burn down plus residual applications. Again, keeping an eye on that chemistry that's in that premix. And then in your residual only applications, each one of these you could look at as needing only one nozzle depending upon the chemistry that you're using. But again, just bear in mind very closely what you're going to be applying and relying on for control of any emerged weeds for the burn down.
Right, and we have a lot of choices when it comes to nozzles, and you look here, the nozzle reference chart that's out of TJet. This is just one in TJet. There's other manufacturers who have that, but we use this one here just to kind of give us. And one of the things you've got to consider first is what this droplet spectrum looks like for that. What kind am I getting? Fine, coarse, medium, extra coarse. And like Eric said, if we're just doing residuals, there's a lot of forgiveness in what we pick for a nozzle. However, if we're trying to get burned down with that, we're probably leaning towards a little finer droplets so we can make sure we've got that contact, or we've got that systemicity in there to help us cover that plant. And so we want to make sure whatever we're looking at is it's in the range that we want with. And again, there's a lot of information on this chart, and this is just two sizes and everything else like that. So get a hold of one of these, digest it down type of thing to get the information from it. But one of the things, and we've got some nozzles here just as examples, there's a range of nozzles that you can pick. And something like this nozzle here, this is going to be a finer droplet. This is a turbo TJet. Here on the AI, we're getting a little bit coarser. And then as we move over, we start to get into the extra coarse, very coarse, ultra coarse type of thing here as we move into a TTI and then the ULDM type nozzles. And so lots of ranges that you can get. And it's going to depend on, as we started with, talking about what that product is that you want to have in that system with that.
Yeah, maximizing the activity, and really each one of the nozzles Brady showed are going to be great options for residual herbicides, and we'll kind of wrap that up in a second. But these are two very important pieces to also remember as part of this nozzle discussion for pre-applications or burn down applications is, one nozzle for everything. Somebody just wants to slap a nozzle on and not worry about it between April and July. That's really not going to happen or in order to get optimal applications, you can't have that type of a mindset. You have to evaluate each product individually, know what you're putting on there for a nozzle.
That question a lot, Eric. Hey, can I just get one nozzle that just really, and I really, when I break it down with guys, it works out to be, hey, you better have probably 3 different types of nozzles to kind of cover that range from that medium fine droplet all the way to the ultra coarse and something in between to help you with whatever you're spraying in that whole picture. We're going to talk about post-emergence nozzles in another episode, but in the big picture, there's a huge spectrum there.
Yeah, make sure you're just looking at it very closely, and then what shape are your nozzles in? Definitely, wear and tear on a year-to-year basis or even in a crop-to-crop basis, depending upon what you're applying. It's definitely something that we need to be thinking about what those nozzles look like that are already on that sprayer or that you're thinking about putting on that sprayer. So not just attaching them on and going about your day. Take a look at what kind of shape they're in. And Brady, you've got a pretty good example here.
Yeah, I've been working on this one. I've got it all cleaned up. I think it's pretty much ready to go. If we can see it with the camera, yep, there we kind of see some of it, type of thing like that. You can see I've taken my steel brush and I've gotten any kind of debris out of there. I used my pocket knife to make sure that the orifice is open, and I think it's going to be ready to go. And this is my first one. I've only got about 35 more to get cleaned up here.
Yeah, that'd be a tough ask to expect performance when you utilize a nozzle that looks like that. Wear and tear, again, very influential on the overall nozzle performance, and you could be lacking coverage, you could be lacking a lot of things, and your droplet spectrum might be completely different than what it's supposed to be based on a damaged or a worn nozzle.
Right. So guys, we're just kind of kidding a little bit here to make sure you know about this, but this nozzle is not obviously going to be fit for use, and we also do not want to be using something like the stainless steel brush for cleaning these nozzles. We're actually looking at something more along the lines of a nylon bristle brush here to give us some cleaning abilities and not be aggressive on this plastic. Even ceramic nozzles, which are hard, unfortunately a pocket knife or a stainless steel brush doesn't really have any spot when we're looking at keeping our nozzles in good shape.
Yeah, so paying attention to that, and then finally just a few examples. Again, Brady mentioned it earlier, but for residual applications, residual only applications, we have a lot of flexibility in the type of nozzle to use. Usually want something around a coarse, very coarse, extremely coarse droplet, but there's a lot of options out there for use for that application, and just paying attention to if you've got burn down chemistry going out that may need a smaller droplet at the end of the day.
Right, exactly. We want to look at this spectrum here, some examples. Here's a lot of variability if you're just putting those residuals out, but when we get that burn down piece in there, we want to make sure we're sticking with the right droplet that we have.
So that's all we had today for you folks on nozzles for pre-emerge applications.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. The thoughts and comments expressed on these videos are the opinions of the nozzle heads. Be sure to like and subscribe down below to be notified of new content and videos.